it's Ryan. So, I'm gonna switch it up today. I am not gonna talk about my transition at all. So, this is kind of just gonna be a get to know me thing. So, um, I'm gonna tell you all the random facts about myself, some things that you guys just don't really know about me. So, let's just dive right in. Fact number one is gonna be that I was born in Zephyr Hills. So, Zephyr Hills is in Florida. And most people that live in Florida know the Zephyr Hills Water Company. So I was literally born where they make the water. So I thought that's always been pretty cool about myself. So my second fact is that I have lived in 8 different places. I've had the privilege to be able to live in different countries. I've experienced different cultures at a pretty young age too. So I'm actually going to make another video and get into depth about all the places that I have lived, and I think you guys are really going to like that one. My third fact is that I've never owned a cat. Never, never, ever, ever, never, ever will I own a cat. I am super allergic to them, and I don't know, cats just don't like me. They just hate me. Every time I've ever gone over to my friend's house and they have cats, they just, they really don't like me, or I stay away because I know that cats don't fucking like me. So my fourth fact is that I'm half Cuban on my biological mother's side. So I know I don't look like it. I look super white. Doesn't look like I have any Cuban in me, but I swear to God, I have Cuban in me somewhere, okay? Number 5. So I have had 7 surgeries my whole life. 7. I know that's a lot. My first one when I was maybe about 7 years old, I had my adenoids removed. That's, really common for most people to get their, adenoids or tonsils removed. My second surgery was I think my gallbladder. So most people actually get their gallbladder removed when they're, really old, or if they're, having problems. I had mine removed when I was 14, so that is extremely rare. Mine was just diseased. It just didn't work right. We don't really know why, but it caused more issues for me than, it benefited me. Then I had my wisdom teeth removed. Everyone gets that done. At least people that have wisdom teeth. I don't know if people cannot have wisdom teeth, but I had all 4 of mine. So that was awful. Like, I can guarantee you that was one of the worst surgeries I have ever had in my life. It was so painful. Oh my God. I couldn't eat for like a week and a half either. It was awful. And my mom decided to go and plan a vacation. We went down to the Keys, and literally I looked like a chipmunk the whole time. In all of our family photos, I couldn't even smile right. It's just like, why go on a fun vacation if you can't even have any fun? I couldn't eat any of the foods that I wanted. It was just terrible. Then I had 2 exploratory surgeries. So those were relatively easy. Those weren't really painful at all. They just knocked me out, did what they have to do, and then I was awake. So that was really a minor surgery. I had the biggest surgery that I've ever had when I was 17. I had a brain surgery. So I have what's known as Chiari malformation. So basically, my skull is too small for my brain. So you would think that I would be smarter because I have a bigger brain, but no, that's not the case at all. So basically, the back of my brain was growing down like the back of my neck, near my cerebellum. It was causing so many issues, and I was diagnosed with that condition at 13 years old, and they couldn't even operate until I was 17. And most kids grow out of this as they age, but that did not happen with me. It just got gradually worse as I got older. So eventually they had to operate on me, and they took out a piece of my spine. So they took out my first notch vertebrae, which is called your C1. They took that right out and don't have that. And they took out a piece of my skull right over here. So I'm missing a piece of my skull too. And then they cut open the dura, which is one of the layers around your brain. And basically, the dura has spinal fluid in it. So they cut it open and they released a lot of the spinal fluid, because not only was my brain being squished by my skull, it was being squished by my dura as well, because all the spinal fluid was, accumulating and accumulating. And it was just basically like an intense headache my whole life. Like, you guys know what a migraine is. Well, it was literally like I had a migraine about 5 days a week, and it was awful. It was no way to live. That surgery really improved my quality of life. If I would have never had that surgery, I would still be like suffering like in a horrible, horrible way. My Chiari kind of, it kind of took away my life in a sense. I was always very, very angry. I was always in pain. Um, I had awful coordination. Um, I played sports, so, you know, my whole life was sports. That's all I did. And when I got that diagnosis, it was very, very hard to accept that I could not be an active kid anymore. And I kind of just changed completely. I never wanted to do anything like outside. I just didn't want to do anything like period. I was very, very miserable. So that surgery, really, really helped my life, and it helped me as a whole. So I'm very happy that I had that done. The most recent surgery that I have ever had it actually happened last summer. I had appendicitis, so I got my appendix removed. And you know how some people like say that they get sick like a day or two before they actually have the surgery? That did not happen at all to me. Like, I was actually down south visiting some family, and I felt fine the whole trip. Literally, like, nothing was wrong at all. Like, it was strange. It was the weirdest thing that I've ever experienced. I got in my car and I was driving back up here. It's about maybe like an hour and a half, 45-minute drive. So it wasn't really that bad of a drive, but 30 minutes into it, like, my stomach, like, oh my god, like, it hit me like a truck. It was the weirdest thing ever. I had to pull over to like a rest stop. Like, I thought I was dying. And then I had an hour like left. Like, it was terrible. I'm surprised I didn't crash my car just getting there. I had to go straight to the emergency room when I got into my town, and it was awful. Like, and I was rushed into surgery like after being there for maybe 2 hours. So they were like, you're lucky that you came in on time, because it was about to pop. So basically, I'm missing every single organ and every body part that you don't need to survive, except for my arms and my legs. So really, I have absolutely nothing left to like lose, like, at all. Like, if I lose anything else, like, I'm gonna die. Hopefully I don't get any more surgeries. I was a really healthy kid, but once I got into my preteen years, everything just went to shit. Like, literally, I don't know. I just think that when you are a preteen, you grow a lot more, and I think that my issues just really weren't noticeable until I started growing a drastic amount. So I'm all right now. I still have my brain condition. That still gives me problems, but it's not as debilitating as it used to be. That is for sure. So hopefully I don't have to have any more surgeries like ever again. I think 7 is definitely enough. So I played all kinds of sports when I was young. I was very, very athletic, but the main sport that I really enjoyed was soccer. I played from when I was about 5 up until I was 13 when I got diagnosed with my condition. But I've played baseball, I've played basketball, t-ball, floor hockey, softball. I did not like softball. Softball was the worst. The softball girls are so mean. Like, oh my god. Like, you guys tore me to pieces. Like, I don't know what it was, but you guys hated me. And I remember that shit. I've kind of lost track of the numbers of all my facts, but that doesn't even matter at this point. But my next one is that I have two dogs. I have a West Highland Terrier, and then I don't know what our other dog is. Like, we did a DNA test on her, and I know she has Pekingese in her. She's just a very unique looking dog. So I'll have to definitely put up a photo for you guys to look at her. She has red hair like a ginger. Like, she's an actual like dog version of a ginger. I've been to about 12 different schools in my life. So like I said before, since I've lived in about 8 different places, you can imagine that, I would have to switch schools as well. So normally we moved about every 2 years, and one time we did only stay somewhere for about 10 months, and I went to 2 schools during those 10 months. So I was, always moving as an elementary school student, and it was stressful. But because just as we would get somewhere, we would be very standoffish, and for me especially, I was always very quiet in elementary school. But once I found my little group of friends, then we'd have to move, so it was really frustrating, and it was like that everywhere we lived. But the last place we lived, I actually still stay in contact with those kids, and it's really that's the one thing I like about my dad being in the military, is that I have some people in my life that I will be lifelong friends with. We don't talk every day, of course, but it's very interesting because I don't really have I don't have people that I've known since I was 5 or 4. A lot of people that I know, especially my friends, they've known their friends since they were babies, or since they were 5 years old. I don't. So, the only people that I really know that I've stayed friends with for a super long period of time, we knew each other when we were like 10 or 12. My next fact is that I have 8 tattoos. So, I have 3 on my left arm, I have 2 on my right, and 1 on my stomach. I have 1 right here that's kind of on my shoulder / neck, and it goes to my back as well. I have 1 on my ankle. I'm gonna make another video and show you all of them, and tell you why I have them, what the meaning is behind them. But I love my tattoos. Every single one of them has a meaning, except for maybe one. One of them doesn't have a meaning, because it looked really cool to me. My parents hate my tattoos. They hate them. It's my body. I can choose what I want to do with it. I'm done for the time being, because I know I do have a lot. I think I look pretty good with my tattoos. This is my last fact. I'm actually gonna put 3 in 1, because they all correlate together. So, number 1 is I'm adopted, and I was adopted from birth. I actually recently, over the summer, got in contact with my biological father. I always wanted to know why I was adopted. Being adopted, it kind of, leaves you with a lot of unanswered questions. I knew nothing about my adoption, really, except for, a couple details here and there. I didn't know names and didn't have photos, nothing. So, my parents are all I've known all my life. I wouldn't trade them for the world at all. They have given me everything that I've ever wanted, everything that I've ever needed, and I could have had a completely different life if I was never adopted. And I really, honest to God, don't want to know what that life would have been like, because I would have never, I would have never been loved the same way. I would have never had the opportunities that I do now. My family is absolutely wonderful, so it's been an absolute blessing. I have 3 half-siblings on my biological side. So there's Brianna, there's Chris, if that's his name still, because he was adopted as well, and Lewis. So Brianna and Lewis were actually kept in the family. Chris and I were adopted. I don't think, they were favorites at all. I don't think that was the case at all. I just think it was the timing that we were born. My biological grandfather actually took care of my sister Brianna and Lewis, and my grandfather was pretty old around the time that I was born, so he really wouldn't have been able to take care of me as good as he did my sister and Lewis. So my biological parents decided to give me up for adoption. They thought it would just be the better choice for me. I actually looked up my brother's name on Facebook, couldn't find him, and then I found him on Instagram. So I looked up Lewis and then our family last name. He was the only one that popped up, so I was like, alright, like, let's give this a try. And then the only things that I ever knew about my siblings, I didn't know the names, I just knew how old they were when I was born. So over the years, I've always calculated how old they are, you know, when it's my birthday. And so in Lewis's profile, it said the age. It had a Cuban flag, and I'm Cuban on my mother's side, and all three of my siblings are, you know, related to me on my mom's side. And I was like, all right, so maybe it's him. And then it said Long Island, New York, and that's where my biological mother's family is from. So I was like, this has to be him. Like, there is no way that this is not him. I actually sent him a direct message on Instagram and I requested to follow him. And I'll actually put up the conversation, but I messaged him and I was like, look, like, is, you know, Luisa Pereira your mom? Like, I just came into contact with my biological father. I'm learning all about my adoption. And, you know, I think you're my half-brother. And he replied 3 hours later, and he was like, oh my god, holy shit, like, yeah, like, that's my mom. And, you know, now I know that that's my brother, and we're actually supposed to be meeting soon. So I'm really excited. It was really difficult growing up and not having siblings. So that's my other fact, is that I'm an only child in the family that I was adopted into. It was always really difficult not having siblings around as I was growing up, because, you know, I didn't have any advice. I didn't have the advice to be like, how do I deal with a breakup? How do I deal with, you know, friends that are rude to me, you know? All I had was my parents, and don't get me wrong, you know, it's not like I didn't want my parents, but sometimes you just want a sibling there to, you know, help you and, you know, be able to tell them things that you just really can't tell your mom and dad. So that was something I really, really struggled with about my adoption. I actually had more of a desire to meet my siblings rather than my biological parents. I haven't yet, but, you know, I know what they look like. I've talked to Lewis at least, and he's a great guy. I'm really excited to get to meet him. That's really it for all my facts. There's really nothing else to go over. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to put my socials up in the description below. So go ahead and follow me on my socials, add me on Snapchat, all that jazz. I'm pretty sure I'm going to make another video in about a week, so keep an eye out for that one. I hope you feel like you know me a little better than you did before, so give this video a like as well. Tell your friends, share this, do whatever you gotta do, but thanks for watching.